Fireys are now on scene and the police have been called as well. They were coming from Green Bank towards Springfield. These guys were coming from Springfield towards Green Bank. Leg locked it up, crossed over the double white line, wiped the side of my car out. Jill's going to the hospital in the ambo, abrasions and all the rest of it.
G'day Jaffa Adventures, Terry King here. Welcome to the channel. If I sound a little bit down or a little bit resigned, probably in terms of cars, the second worst thing that could ever happen has just happened to me. What's the worst thing? Somebody seriously injured. That did not happen in our case, which I am extremely grateful for. Have a look at the back window here. That's all completely smashed out. Have a look at the front windscreen. That's all smashed out on the bottom of that A-pillar. And brace yourselves, folks. There is the side of the Monte. From the nose cone, completely destroyed front guard, completely destroyed passenger door, completely destroyed quarter panel. So what happened? Wet roads, oncoming vehicle traveling too quickly, slid across the center line, and wiped the entire side of the car out. It was a GU Patrol, which is a four-wheel drive with a bull bar, and you can see where the bull bar has run right across here, down the side of the car. That distance is 3 inches between the bottom of the door and the top of the door. Had that vehicle been raised a little bit higher, that bull bar would have come through this window and seriously injured Jill, or even worse. And I think one of the main things that saved us on this one, right through the side of this door, you see this big dent sticking out? That is a massive side intrusion bar. And that thing has done its job and held up perfectly. Thank goodness for that. I said this is the second thing that could happen in terms of a vehicle. Of course, the first thing is somebody seriously injured, or heaven forbid, dead. This happened in an absolute blink of an eye. Is this repairable? Well, listen, got a damaged nose cone here. That's repairable. Front guards are available aftermarket. That's repairable. Doors are available aftermarket. That's repairable. Rear guards are available aftermarket. That's repairable. The one thing that I'm seriously worried about is this A-pillar has taken a whack, and that's pushed in about 1/2 inch at the bottom of this A-pillar. Now you can buy these A-pillars aftermarket, but it's where it's affixed to that I'm worried about. It's obviously punched that A-pillar in below the door skin here, and the question is, can that be pulled back out? We got glass laying absolute everywhere. Jill got a massive knock onto the back of her head, and we're wondering where the heck that knock came from. And I figured it out. What's happened is the bull bar is taken off this side mirror shot into the back of the car, ricocheted off the back windscreen, and came forward and hit Jill in the back of the head. Again, just so grateful that neither of us were injured in this one. We did dial 000. She got taken in an ambo to the hospital where they put her under observation for about 6 hours. Everything came up good there, so grateful about that. Now it's a journey with insurance companies to try and determine whether this thing's a write-off or whether it can be repaired. To be honest, I would have a crack myself at repairing this, and I put that to the insurance company, but because I'm not a business, they said, nah, it has to be an actual business that repairs the vehicle. So we've identified ourselves a vehicle restoration place. Gonna trailer this out to them, get them to make an assessment, and we'll determine whether we're gonna write this thing off or not. Believe it or not, the car is still completely drivable. Because the four-wheel drive was so high in the air, the inner and outer sill and the frame hasn't been touched. This car drives as straight as it did before the accident, believe it or not. So you wanna come with me on the insurance journey and determine whether this car's a write-off or not? Sad times, stick around. Good side, crunchy side. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Alrighty, the tilt tray is here. I'm gonna load the car up. We're gonna take it to the repairers for assessment. Of course, it's pissing down with rain today, so I've got the window taped up just to try and keep this interior all right, just because it's in such bloody good shape. Okay, so where are we at? Well, I last left you rocking out to some kick-ass Indian music that I got to admit I'm still freaking recovering from. But anyway, here's where we're at. A couple of months have passed now, and as you can see in front of us, I've still got a Monte Carlo here that's a crumpled mess. Now, I've had a project that's kind of derailed the work on my Monte Carlo, and that project has been a revamp of my shed here. As you can see, it's all gyprocked now. Painted, it's been insulated. Up top here, I've got myself an AC system, which is awesome. And that ducted AC means bye-bye sweatband. Mezzanine has been installed. Man cave going upstairs. And I pushed the back wall out here about 3 meters. And this is going to be another little workshop area. So a shop in the shop, I guess. Check this out. Not a shadow to be seen for 35 square meters. That's what I'm talking about. I've got my tool boards back up. Can't do much more at the moment because the next step is the floors. I've got a mob coming in the next couple of days and they're going to epoxy coat the flooring for me. And when that epoxy coating is done, I can move back into my shed and get to work on that puppy. Now, I suspected the repair shop wouldn't want to have anything to do with that car. So before putting this on the tilt tray and heading out to that repair shop, I had an alternate plan. And that plan would hopefully work for me, the repairer, and the insurance company. So all 3 parties involved. As I mentioned previously, Shannon's, my insurer, would not pay out on the claim because I wasn't a registered repairer, but they had an obligation to find me a solution. They were on the hook. They knew it and I knew it. The Monte was and is insured for $30K. So I made an assessment on what parts I would need to repair this. I got all of those parts costed out in AU dollars, shipped here, so that I had a total on what the estimated repair cost of this would be, parts only. So after my face-to-face conversation with the repairer, and once they had a chance to assess that vehicle, they could see how devastated I was, and they could see how much that thing meant to me. They also came to the understanding that I had everything costed out for the repairs, bar the labor, that I wanted to do the repairs myself, and that I was capable of doing those repairs myself. Now, as I suspected, they didn't want a bar of repairing the car themselves. Why? It was just too hard. They've got low-hanging fruit in bloody Camry bumpers and Mazda 2 guards and all that garden variety shit that is easy for them to repair. Something like that, although repairable, is just too hard and too much of a ball ache. Now, having done most of the legwork myself, the repairer was kind enough to cost out a repair for me. They used the data that I provided on the parts and the cost of the parts to land them here, and then of course added their labor cost to repair something like that. And they did that on their own dime, free of charge. So that was bloody awesome. The total repair cost came to $25K and change, and they sent that quote to the insurer and said, it'll cost $25K to fix this car. We don't want to do it. And good luck out there finding somebody who would be willing to do it. So I let the insurance company stew on that for a couple of days, and then I reached out to them with a proposal. And that proposal was this: pay me out the $25K, I'll do the repairs myself, and you can wash your hands of it. Your alternatives are either find a repairer willing to do the repairs on this thing for $25K, or write it off for $30K and pay me out that $30K insured value. Your choice. Not surprisingly, they took the easy and the cheaper way out. They paid me out the $25K based on the quote that the repairer provided. That was absolute first prize for me because the car remains insured and I didn't have to go down that repairable write-off route. So I've got $25K in my back pocket and a crunchy Monte Carlo. What do I do next? Well, I've already ordered the parts for the car. They've started arriving already, so that'll allow me to actually do all the repairs. And here's some of the bits that have started coming in. That's a new nose cone, got a couple of new inner fenders, and some go fast bits like headers. There's a new harmonic balancer and a Holley Sniper EFI. You'll have noticed in that pile of parts that there's a few engine parts. And that's where this project takes a little bit of a turn and is actually going to push north of that $25K payout figure. As you would have noted in an earlier video, the car and engine only has $60K and change on it. So the motor has plenty of life left in it yet. However, it's a slug. It always amazes me how the US automakers could get so little power out of a 5-liter V8. It's like they'd have to actually expend engineering effort to strangle this thing the way that they have. I mean, 175 horsepower out of a V8? That's got to be difficult to do. Anyway, I'm going to have the whole front end of this car pulled off to do the body repairs. The engine will be quite exposed and it won't be too difficult to pull it out from there. So here's my evil plan. Pull the donk, throw some go fast bits at it, like new cam, different heads, fuel injection, headers, that kind of stuff, and waking it up a little bit. I've done a fair bit of research, and with the parts that I'm going to be throwing out of this engine, I reckon I can get about 375 horsepower out of it. Now, that's definitely not going to win any races, but it'll definitely put a smile on my dial when I'm cruising. Now, some folks might say, why are you throwing good money at a shit 305? Why don't you just put a 350 in it, or a 383 stroker, or an LS, you know, something like that? Well, one, I'm not chasing massive power increases, just a little bit of a wake up. Number two, this is definitely the most cost-effective way to do this compared to all the other alternatives. Three, I've got the engine on hand already, and it's a numbers matching motor. And four, it's my car, and I'll do whatever I damn well please. So what's the next step for the old girl? In a few days' time, I've got it booked into one of those dry ice blasting places to dry ice blast the underside of the car completely. It's got all that black gooey rust proofing under there from Canada, and I just want to get that all clean and all fresh. After all, I don't want to get my pretty new shed all dirty. And there you have it. As soon as I take possession of my shed in the next week or so, I can actually get started on this little puppy. There is one other project that I've been putting off, and that's in the background. 200 series, I've got to do the injectors in that. I purchased them, I've got them all to hand. I just need a shed to be able to do the job. We've got two new Jaffa mascots as well. This one here is Honey and Maple. Where are you? Maple, Maple. There she is. Hello, Maple. So we got Honey and Maple. They've been out running around and they're just about cactus. In the meantime, keep the crumbly side down. We'll see you next time on Jafffa Adventures. Bye now.